like, subscribe and comment to win one of the 3 copies of Dragon's Dogma 2 in the Gaming Analytics giveaway. Now that we have covered the confirmed skills for each of the basic vocations, it's time to move on to the advanced and hybrid classes. In this video, I'll explore the sorcerer skills that have been unveiled so far and are expected to be part of the game upon its release. Most of these skills were showcased at the Tokyo Game Show, and it's important to mention that the footage quality is somewhat lacking. That being said, the descriptions for these skills were still discernible. Now, without any further ado, uncork your inner dork and let's get nerdy. First off, we'll be looking at the core sorcerer skills, of which we've seen 5 in action, 2 of which are returning from Dragon's Dogma, and 3 are new to the series Specialist Spell Slinger. These 5 core skills are Magic Bolt, Galvanize, Quick Spell, Bursting Bolt, and Levitate. Magic Bolt is up first, and it is described as firing a magical burst that differs based on the active enchantment. This can also be cast while moving. Magic Bolt's advanced version is Focus Bolt, and it has also been spotted in the Tokyo Game Show build. That, when upgraded, enables the Arisen to fire multiple bolts. Both Magic Bolt and Focus Bolt can add elemental effects and damage via enchantments depending on the archmagic used, and the effect when using these skills varies depending on whether a permanently or temporary enchanted weapon is used. The next returning core skill is Levitate, which manipulates the caster's weight through magical means, allowing them to temporarily float. Certain treasure chests and areas are much more easily accessible when using the Levitate skill. Next up is the core skill Galvanize, which is the sorcerer's heavy attack, rapidly recovering stamina through a single-minded focus. It can also be employed while moving, but with reduced efficiency. The fourth of the core skills is Quick Spell, which is a vocation action which greatly hastens incantation speed at the cost of consuming stamina. The final of the sorcerer core skills that we are going to talk about and we know of thus far is Bursting Bolt, which stores up magical energy before unleashing it in a powerful burst that explodes sometime after connecting with the target. And this effect from Bursting Bolt also differs based on the active enchantment on the sorcerer at the time of activation. Moving on, within the Dragon's Dogma 2 footage and reveals, we've seen a total of 14 sorcerer skills so far, 6 which are returning skills from DD1, and the remaining 8 are completely new to the franchise. The first 2 returning sorcerer weapon skills is Levin and High Levin, which is described as strikes an enemy from above with tongues of lightning. Levin and High Levin can also summon additional lightning bolts, however at the expense of more stamina. All forms of Levin could be cast using a staff or archstaff and strikes foes from above with thunder-based magic. In addition to the damage of the spell, it may either knock down small enemies or stun larger ones if susceptible. In DD1 Dark Arisen, you could also upgrade High Levin to Grand Levin. However, there has been no evidence that Grand Levin will be featuring in Dragon's Dogma 2. Next up is Frigga, which conjures a giant pillar of ice that lingers for a period of time and can serve as a stepping stone. After the pillar is destroyed, grabbable blocks of ice will remain. Ice spires and explosions from the destroyed ice blocks have the chance to freeze enemies. The spires have good knockdown and will lift smaller enemies into the air. Within Dragon's Dogma 1, Frigga could be upgraded to High Frigga, and further within Dark Arisen, this becomes Grand Frigga, with a suitable mage ring, band or staff bearer's band equipped. As described, these advanced versions of Frigga also create ice platforms that can be used when exploring to reach hidden treasures and gain access to otherwise unreachable locations. The next of these sorcerer weapon skills is Seism, which is a holy base skill which when cast strikes the earth, sending eruptions of stone into the air, stunning and damaging foes over a wide area. Enemies caught in this area take pure magic damage, whereas the summon pillars exploding from the ground deal holy magic and possess high knockdown power. Finally, the large boulders created from these summon pillars may strike foes on landing for substantial physical damage. Within the original Dragon's Dogma, Seism was upgradable to High Seism, and then within Dark Arisen, this becomes Grand Seism, with each upgraded version decreasing the casting time and increasing the amount of pillars created. Bolide is up next, a fire-based skill with which your Arisen calls meteors down from the heavens to land around you. In DD1 and Dark Arisen, Bolide could be upgraded to High Bolide and Grand Bolide respectively, where the base Bolide summons 4, High Bolide 10 and Grand Bolide 15 meteors that deliver both physical damage as well as fire-based magical damage. The targeting of multiple foes makes this spell effective against groups of enemies, but less so against a single large enemy, such as a Cyclops, which will be hit directly by only 2 of the meteors. Creatures with multiple heads, on the other hand, like Chimera or Hydra, are considered to be multiple targets, with each of those heads being targeted once, making this spell extremely effective. The last of the returning sorcerer weapon skills is Maelstrom, which summons a whirlwind to wreak havoc upon any foe caught in its path. Maelstrom inflicts dark magic damage, drawing enemies into its core and throwing them into the air for additional fall damage. After a long charging incantation, during which the caster is immobile, the spell begins to be cast. After incantation charges the spell, a holding phase begins whilst the caster continues to be immobilized. During this phase, the whirlwind will begin to generate. The character will be locked into the final casting position, after which the whirlwind begins for a substantial period of time. Within Dragon's Dogma 1, Maelstrom upgrades to High Maelstrom, with a larger area of effect, longer duration, and a stronger pull. The remainder of the Sorcerer weapon skills are brand new to the Sorcerer in Dragon's Dogma 2, the first 2 of which are Flagration and High Flagration, which are described as unleashing a swirling jet of flames straight ahead for a period of time. The flames ignore magical defenses and can pass through multiple targets. And while all of this is happening, the caster is still able to move. We currently don't have any detailed description for High Flagration, any more than it is the advanced version of the basic Flagration skill. The Salamander skill is up next, which conjures a flame that slithers forward along the ground. The flame remains for a time and deals continuous damage to any targets that touch it. The Thundermine Sorcerer skill is described as conjuring a ball of lightning that automatically unleashes crackling bolts at foes who draw near. The bolts also knock down smaller targets, which dissipates in time or after a number of attacks. The Sorcerer skill Haggle is described as summoning a bone-chilling blizzard to the immediate vicinity that damages any targets that touch it and inflicts them with frostbite. Whereas the Decanter Sorcerer skill saps the target's health and grants it to the caster. The effect continues for as long as the spell is maintained, but the user must remain stationary. The final 2 Sorcerer weapon skills, unfortunately, we do not have any descriptions for. These are Persistent Flare and Spellhold. I guess we'll have to wait and see until launch day what these 2 are all about. In addition to the 19 weapon and sorcerer core skills, we also know of 5 sorcerer augments that will be coming to Dragon's Dogma 2, being Asperity, Stasis, Constancy, Catalysis, and Sagacity. The first in which, Asperity, increases the likelihood of inflicting debilitations with your attacks, whereas Stasis reduces the rate at which items deteriorate. Constancy augments your knockdown resistance, whereas Catalysis increases the damage dealt when exploiting a hostile target's elemental weaknesses. And last but not least, Sagacity augments your sorcerer's magical powers. As always, thank you so much for watching. On your way out, please remember to give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and most important of all, stay nerdy.